in association with BottleTop Comedy and Infinite Promotions, Official Wrestling presents Three-Man Booth. Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new episode of Three-Man Booth. I'm your host Kieran and I'm joined by Kiefer.
Hello.
And the other Kieran.
Hello.
Hello. We are...
Can I just interrupt?
Yeah, go on.
You say a new episode, brand new episode.
Brand new. First ever?
First ever, yeah, except for the other two that we've recorded.
They were
faith.
They were the pilots.
They were the pilots. The pilot and the co-pilot. Yeah? Honestly, so for those of you that are unaware, which will be all of you because it's the first time you'll have ever heard the three of us do this, we've recorded two previous episodes of this podcast. But him here, in the middle,
Hello.
hasn't bothered to upload them.
Well, I got through one. So one is currently sat on my iTunes folder waiting to
What
be
is there
done.
to edit? It's just chatting shit for an hour.
When you knock things over like you just did.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's I was going through. They got away from me.
Very far away. Move over.
They time ran out on me or whatever, and then when it came to realizing, oh shit, I've not put them up. It was like the topics we talked about were very were not relevant anymore. So I was like,
We covered how the British wrestling scene would be affected by us joining the common market. That's how long ago it feels.
We were talking about current affairs, and I believe it was WrestleMania 30. Daniel Bryan and the title.
Yeah,
hilarious. On current affairs, something that we do want to talk about is Hulk Hogan being reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame. Someone's happy.
Yeah, I love him. I love Hulk Hogan. He was my hero. Has anyone seen that meme?
Well, he said it.
Well, you know what? Funny enough, I was meant to be doing a solo show. Probably about 3 years ago now, because that's when it got banned. And the whole, I always do intros to my shows where I have, because I'm a wrestling fan, I always do a wrestler's entrance music, and then I'll do a bit about it. Yeah. And I proper love Hulk Hogan's music, so I'd always wanted to come out to Hulk Hogan's music. So I played it, forwarded it to this club to play, and 2 days before I was doing the gig, it all got outed, and he was this massive racist. Oh, no. And I was doing a show with this guy called Shea Burnley, who's 6'4", African descent, massive afro, everything. And
that's the giveaway, isn't it?
Yeah, but I was meant to be doing this whole gimmick with him, and all of a sudden, we had posters where my face was on Hulk Hogan's body and stuff. And then, it was just a nightmare. And then I turned up to the gig and I was just like, listen, you're going to have to scrap it. And they were like, but we've advertised it with you dressed as Hulk Hogan. And I was like, I can't do it in light of what's happened. So I ended up going on, doing the gig, and just chatting for about 10 minutes about how I was no longer a Hulk Hogan fan. I was secretly.
Disowning him.
But yeah, it's mad now, isn't it? That they've just...
Just 3.5 years later, it's just you know what? No one remembers that. Go ahead, come back in.
No, I don't think that's what's happened at all.
No, it's not an exaggeration.
That is an exaggeration. I think I'm 3 days away from my trip to Lourdes. I am Catholic. I do believe in forgiveness and repentance. And obviously, I don't know the fella, but certainly outwardly, he appears contrite and. To err is human, to forgive divine. And I think, it's the world, unfortunately now, not just the wrestling world, but the world in general, is not a very forgiving place.
No, true.
And that much to the world's detriment, quite frankly. The social media age, as it is, people are just castigated for mistakes, and people lash things all over social media, kind of having digs at people that have made mistakes. And it may be the case that he has held certain prejudices, and prejudices are prejudicial. People make
assumptions before.
Yeah, make assumptions about certain classes of people or types of people.
Mm-hmm.
But they aren't. That word in question is obviously it's probably the absolute worst word in the English language. But and you know, it's a horrible guttural word. But the I genuinely don't think there was malice in him when he said it. It's just a word he used, and we've all had older relatives that have used words that have made us go, oh, you can't say that.
Yeah.
So, but I don't believe there was any malice in what he said in a private, as far as he was aware, conversation.
I guess, but I kind of agree. Like there is a whole everyone's forget or forgive neither. No one forgets.
But you can't forget.
And then
you can't forget because you're doomed to make the same mistakes.
My favourite social media
but
thing though has got to be the moment WWE got reinstated. Someone, as they always do on Twitter, managed to find this GIF of Hollywood Hulk Hogan spray painting NWO, but it was basically
the first line.
And it was basically the moment Hulk Hogan was reinstated and didn't realise, and it's just obviously him writing N and then the beginning of
the W. It turns out,
and it just looked fantastic.
The one thing I thought was interesting on social media about this was there were two comments. I can't remember exactly what they were, but there was something like this some bullshit or something like that. People who weren't necessarily against it, and the only reason these popped up on my feed at the side of my Instagram was that Titus O'Neil liked them. It's just like, yeah, fair enough. Like, if you can kind of see where he's coming from with that. But especially after the whole, especially Titus, like Titus has been hard done by in recent years.
Did Mark Henry defend him, or was it Mark Henry that was really
upset by it?
Mark Henry was very upset by it, but has kind of been asked since Sunday what his thoughts on it are, and he says that he believes that he's contrite, he believes that he's sorry, and that he wants to be part of the solution.
Fair enough.
The one that defended him, it's been me next. In terms of prominent African American wrestlers that defended him were Booker T. Spoke up for him.
Well, Booker T's got his own video, hasn't he?
Yeah, he called him one. But yeah, he very definitely spoke.
It's one of my favourite videos.
He spoke up for him and said, let's make him part of the solution. And was generous and forgiving. The Rock as well. I think has spoken largely in Hogan's favour. So obviously some people that we as three Caucasian British lads will never know just how much that word can hurt.
Yeah.
Nor should we ever kind of, but because because I think we're aware that we will never know. We're not trying to empathise, because it's impossible to empathise in that sort of situation. We'll never know just how much that word hurts. African Americans in particular, because it's not a word I'd heard in this country, even from people with past generations. In this country, but it carries an awful lot of weight with African Americans.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, he's when do you reckon? Now he is back in WWE. And he said something. There was see if I can find it on my feed, that he did apologise to people backstage. I shall try and find it.
Yeah, he said he was back because he was at Extreme Rules, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was at the back.
So there was rumours that he was going to get involved. I don't think he'd have ever done that.
No, I maybe. Well, this is the one thing I was going to phrase. Like, when do you think we will?
Maybe have him come out and be in Roman Reigns' corner just to give him a little bit more So imagine he'd done that against Bobby Lashley.
Whoa, alright. Wait, this is taking a turn. But
I'm not sure what.
Well, he's been reinstated to the Hall of Fame. That is it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not signed to a contract, is he?
Under contract.
No. But he was backstage.
Involved. Interestingly, who wasn't backstage? Vince McMahon.
Was he not?
At Extreme Rules?
Yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
He was in contact with people running things. The Gorilla was run by Triple H, Billy Kidman. At Extreme Rules, Vince wasn't actually in the building, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it's not like Vince to miss.
But I think
shows.
Maybe he stayed away because Hogan was there. Because I think there is some healing that needs to go on between. Which is a frightfully millennial expression. There is some healing that needs to go on with Vince and Hogan. You would think, with our limited knowledge of what the history of the two and what the two are like, in Kurt Angle's WWE 24.
Well, I'm sure we'll get a 24 out of this as well.
In Kurt Angle's WWE 24 interview, when Kurt met Vince.
Yeah.
Highly, authentically emotional, and Vince chewed the cameras out.
Yeah.
I think some healing will need to take place between Hogan and Vince that probably wouldn't have been best served being done during the build-up to a very busy pay-per-view event. So whether or not that's why Vince has
stayed away from
it. Obviously, he would have had to have made the call. Yeah. Maybe.
I was going to say, do we think that he's the one that will have made that call, or do you think he might have been overruled by other people that are...
Well, Vince can't be overruled in that. Vince can't be. He has the majority of the voting stock. He's chairman, CEO. No one makes WWE decisions.
Then why are bra and panties matches not back on TV? That's what I want
to know. Wait, I think you're. I know we said that the previous two episodes we recorded of this were stuck in the past, but you appear to me way back.
Way back in the past. That one. Yeah. We were talking about this on there was a tweet that I saw on interestingly not a tweet on Twitter. And I know, right? Yeah. And it said it was WWE tweeting about it'd been 3 years since the Women's Evolution began, which was essentially it's been 3 years since they called Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha up from NXT. And this tweet said, I'll just see what you guys think of it. So the tweet reads, Women's Evolution, ? 3 years ago, you called up 3 talented females from NXT so that you could jump on the Women Can Do Anything bandwagon. Then you fucking buried the 2 that weren't blonde. Your focus never once shifted from blonde Barbies to female wrestlers, so quit playing WWE. Now, apart from... We had this discussion on A Few Good Marks last week, but...
Cheap plug.
Your own podcast, might as well. And but like apart from Charlotte Flair, who is obviously incredibly talented and does and obviously comes from a very highly regarded background. So they're not just pushing her because she's blonde. Obviously, she's a phenomenal talent. But you can kind of see a little bit where they've come from, where that tweet's coming from. Because instead of putting over either Charlotte Flair or Asuka, who are the best 2 wrestlers on the women's roster right now, Carmella is the champion of the brand where all 3 of them are concerned. Alexa Bliss was good. Has gotten worse.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, I don't think she's any that good right now.
We could do a whole podcast on this because I think Alexa Bliss is one of the best.
But when you say at what, that's a very narrow view. Explain to me how she has gotten worse and why she's not very good.
I don't know.
No, you must know because you said it. So explain yourself.
Her match quality has gone down. It could potentially, I don't know, maybe it's something to do with the booking or the storylines or whatever, or who she's working with. But I don't know. Her promos are very similar, have been for ages. There's nothing kind of newish to her.
But the Office, right? It's all
I don't know.
All been it largely, unless you're given that kind of creative freedom. to a degree. Don't get me wrong. I think you can definitely, if you know, give someone a live mic, they can always take liberties if they're comfortable in themselves and they know they're not going to get the sack. But you know, WWE promos have always been, someone will say each and every one of these people, and they will, talk about championship titles, which does me head in because it's not strictly correct.
But on this, but you can kind of see where that point's coming from.
Well, that she's not.
Not even just from Alexa, just but about Carmella and about them only kind of still serving the diva formula. You get what I mean? They're not shifting.
Yeah, but both of those two are positioned as villains.
I think with Carmella,
both of those are positioned as villains.
But they're not. But the whole thing, they're not very good wrestlers, though. Well, no. Well, Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss is good, and Carmella, she's just not as good a wrestler. She's not a good wrestler.
So, and do you resent the fact that she's got the belt for that reason?
That she's not a good wrestler. Yeah, a little bit.
I think if I can throw my 2 pence.
People can be.
You will in a minute.
Sorry, one second. People can, you can be a villain and still be a good wrestler.
Do loads of amazing moves.
Okay, if I can throw my 2 pence in, and it's funny that just before this we discussed a certain man by the name of Hulk Hogan. Mm-hmm. I loved Hulk Hogan growing up. I idolised him. But if you asked me from what I watched, could he wrestle? Could he wrestle? Because all he done was 3 moves. I'm not saying Hulk Hogan can't wrestle. What I'm saying is, based on what I saw as a child, he couldn't wrestle. He was fighting guys that were bigger than him, and he was doing a couple of punches. He'd done the point, he'd done a big boot and a leg drop. That was it. Bringing that into Carmella, I think Carmella, 3 or 4, when she was in NXT, was god awful. However, she has used a character that's really good. She's come in and she's kind of found her own little niche market, and as a heel, she is that annoying little brat that people want to see get the comeuppance. And from kind of a business point of view and a booking point of view, I understand why they've done it. I understand why they brought Ellsworth back. I despise him. However, I understand why they've done it, because otherwise there's no legitimate way of her beating Asuka, and it will add that little bit of sensation when someone eventually does beat her.
Very true.
But I think Carmella's improved a lot, and Alexa Bliss, I will not have a bad word said about her, because I think all round she's one of the best at the minute.
Fair enough. I mean, to be fair, this is another
besides
thing that
being absolutely gorgeous, she is a.
How dare you comment on her aesthetic?
How dare I?
Hang on. Yeah, but this is another thing that I think that I comment on, because obviously I watch WWE, but I only watch the pay-per-views because that's what we review on A Few Good Marks. So I'm not necessarily sitting down and watching Raw or SmackDown every single week, because I haven't got the time or patience to do so, and the reports that come out of it, of how bad it is, necessarily don't make me want to watch it. There was something about the other week that I think it was, or maybe it was one of the Raws the last couple of weeks, had its lowest rated, its third hour was the lowest rated Raw ever, where it wasn't going up, but it wasn't even going up against football games or anything, it was going up against American Ninja Warrior, and it was still doing awful.
Yeah, but that shit is popular. Do you know what I mean? That's not...
It was still the numbers that they were, or could still get back. I mean, there's plenty of wrestling fans in America, it's just that I feel like...
Your ratings aren't king. Do you know what I mean?
I also said this when I found out, they don't care anymore, because the money they've just signed with Fox, they're not going to care about ratings.
If you compared, what this Christmas's EastEnders did against the time Dirty Den served Angie the divorce papers, take it off the air. Do you know what I mean? It's cutting. It's been probably lost 90% of its audience, but that's just because people are engaging with content now in entirely different ways. Do you know what I mean? People aren't. There is more to. You need that shop window for casuals, but most people will. Wrestling fans now will watch things on time shift services, or watch it on not PVRs, Christ. But
streaming stuff.
Streams, illegal streams. A lot of the time, as well as a lot of the people complaining about the products of people who aren't actually legally, legitimately watching it. Like, because without naming names, I'm sure the three of us have got umpteen friends on our social media streams asking, has anyone got a stream for the reason I'm doing this accent is because I'm thinking of one person in particular. But can I borrow someone's network subscription? Has anyone got a stream for the pay-per-view tonight? Like, it's
yeah, I totally get what you mean.
And most of them are the ones that are complaining. Yeah. That aren't actually buying the people that let the network subscription lapse so that they'll get the free introductory offer the next one. It's a fuck. Like, but pay for what you're watching. Do you know what I mean? If you and then feel free to complain.
Which brings me on to like what I'm actually interested in at the moment, which is New Japan. The G1 that's happening at the moment, and I watched a couple of matches yesterday, and I was sat watching them. And it's like, this is the first time in a long time that I've genuinely felt really excited watching a wrestling match, watching something like unfold, like watching the story and following it. Like Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi had an amazing match. Like, but I think to me that was better because he was using a lot of British storytelling techniques, a lot of grapples and stuff like that.
Who was this?
Zack Sabre Jr.
Was
he? Brilliant.
Alright, if you say so.
I thought he was really good. But this is what I mean about my shift not being on WWE, my focus even not being on WWE. It's mostly now on New Japan or on British Indies.
Yeah, but I mean, like when people say that happens quite a lot now. Where I was only looking at this the other day, like. I'm not saying you just did then, but a lot of people consider anything other than WWE to be an indie. Like, New Japan Pro Wrestling has been around since I think 1974.
Oh yeah, no, it's not.
It's owned. It sold in 2012 for somewhere in the region of 500 million yen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is.
What's that in pounds?
I don't know. It's a few million dollars. What it's sold for. It's owned now by a worldwide trading card company, predominantly owned by them. It turned over something in the region. Of $35 million US last year in revenue. That's what it did in revenue. 2017. I think I was looking this up. Unbeknownst to me, we'll be talking about it tonight. But things happen in peaks and troughs. WWE had the Attitude Era for a decent stretch. No, it's someone else's turn to be the thing that inspires. But WWE is still top of the shop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Vince McMahon's been able to sell $100 million worth of shares. Still maintain something like 70 to 80% of voting rights to start his own football league. Like he's not short of a few bob, that lad. Do you know what I mean? He's known what he's been doing for a long time now. Do you know what I mean? And yet some things we know it. Something I'll speak to Kiefer now about this from stand-up perspective.
Yeah.
I went to see Reginald Lee Hunter.
Yeah.
At Venue Cymru in
Llandudno.
In Llandudno, yeah. Llandudno, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to say it right. And he cautioned the audience ahead of his set. And he said, some of y'all will have come to see me today because you've seen me on the TV. He said, you think, that guy looks funny. Like, I'll go and see him. And he's like, well, let me just make it very plain here. Comedy is arse. TV is business. And that's his approach. So if you see me on the television, when you come to see me live, you might not be getting what you bargained for.
Yeah.
So, very much WWE is the same. If what they put out on the TV is to attract as general an audience as possible, whether we like it as diehards or not, and bear in mind, we will watch it. We will still consume WWE even if we don't like it, because we're addicted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Die-hard Trekkies still watch Star Trek Enterprise. Even though it was fucking diabolical by all accounts. Yeah? So, that shop window of Raw and SmackDown broadcast in umpteen countries worldwide, it's not for us. So there's no point complaining about it, because whilst you will get little hidden gems here and there just to, you know, harken back to what we were into, WWE is not about the shop window is not about us. Stuff they put on the network, that's for us. Of course it is. That's what we're about. But other than that, that's for the general audience.
I completely agree. Like New Japan, it's obvious it's not an indie because, like, well, for one, its production value, its production quality is amazing, especially when it comes to Dominion and Wrestle Kingdom. Like, you know, what they put into their show is great. But I just think for me, it's because I've only just started to get into it again. So I've got that buzz. I've got this there's all these old matches. There's all this history that I can go back and watch, and it's not as the thing I felt as well about New Japan, it is all about the wrestling. There's not as many gimmick matches.
Yeah, I think that's the case, but that's because, like, in Japan, wrestling gets on the back pages of the newspapers. Do you know what I mean? It's a different culture, entirely different culture, and obviously they deal with a lot of things like the press conferences and all that sort of stuff. They do their presentation is entirely different. Maybe that's what we're in a bit of a bubble of, you know, I've talked about this before with people, like the presentation, like when I think about it now, if I was around in the Attitude Era, like at the age I am now, I'd probably really dislike the presentations and things. Like, to use a kind of a silly example, like Vince McMahon and Tori Wilson in the mock closet.
Oh Christ!
Like,
I watched that recently.
Yeah, Vince McMahon and Tori Wilson in the mock closet. There was a cameraman in the mock closet with them. And no one batted an eyelid like at this. So much of what used to. That's why when Bischoff and Harvey took over production of TNA, as was at one point, all their backstage promos and things that they caught them. They were candid cameras. They were camera hidden around corners, looking through office windows, seeing things like that.
Yeah,
so
I remember that time.
You could understand why these people felt happy to speak about the things. They were happy to plot on camera because they weren't aware the camera was there. This, you know, that poor cameraman would have been traumatised if Kurt Angle hadn't walked in when he did. Do you know what I mean? Like, but the presentation was like that then. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, we probably are looking for a bit of a. I hate now that, you know, you go into this general manager's office and it's not an office. It's very clearly like some backstage room that they've put dressed with curtains and, you know, an enlarged copy of the DVD cover of or whatever, or you know, it's not an office. How would you get any work done in there? It's just a room with a big curtain. Do you know what I mean? You can't sit there. You can't sign checks in there, can you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I hate when, you know, if Kane does a promo, all of a sudden Kane always manages to find like a room with a red light. Do you know how Roxanne must be out? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, there are nonsensical things in WWE presentation, but, you know, they've just become part of the culture. Whereas you look at something like New Japan, but just, you know, I don't think it's just production, because some genuine indies do have great.
Oh yeah, very true.
I think very much what makes an indie is its business model. And New Japan is owned by a much larger media conglomerate worldwide.
Do they contract people as well?
They do again now. They didn't they used to offer big contracts, and then they switched to 1 year contracts that would be renewed each year until they lost AJ and Shinsuke. Right. At which point they brought back the old contracts with creative control involved in them for external bookings. So, for example, when we booked Devitt, Wrestle Juice, great match.
Was a great match. One of the best I've ever watched live.
And we had to deal with. We didn't have to deal directly with New Japan, but we had to abide by certain conditions in Devitt's New Japan contract. it's a big going concern, New Japan. Anything that's kind of got a parent company, or some sort of they have got a huge leading office in New Japan. Have got a huge office in Japan. Their parent company has an even bigger office in Japan. Do you know what I mean? Probably not that not the size matters, but probably bigger than it's a bigger office than Titan Tower. Or WWE Global HQ as it is now. It'll always be Titan Tower, isn't it? But they're very, very good at presenting wrestling a different way, but they're not in any way, shape, or form an indie. People think indie just means anything other than WWE.
No.
Nonsense. Also nonsense. Impact isn't an indie. It's owned by a sports media corporation in that.
Yeah.
World Sport is not, or WOS Wrestling. I refuse to go to World Sport.
Yeah,
it's not an indie. It's owned by ITV, which I think is worth twice as much as WWE is. Do you know what I mean? It's just WWE, in the eyes of a lot of diehard wrestling fans, are just victims of their own success. The fact that it's not cool and niche anymore. We don't feel like we're in any kind of special club anymore. Yeah. Because actually they've been quite successful. Do you know what I mean? They are victims of their own success now. People will always have a pop at them because they're not theirs anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, I can go on for a bit.
Well, there we go. So moving on. Actually, well, since you've mentioned WOS Wrestling, we'll go on to that. So one thing we did cover in one of our previous podcasts that you may or may not ever get to hear, the rosters that were unannounced at the time. They were for World of Sport. It was an unofficial roster, but they were. They've all been confirmed anyway. So, what are our thoughts on the World of Sport? On the WOS Wrestling roster.
Well, it's a big roster for a 10-episode season.
Huge, isn't it?
I presume they'll be using it as some kind of shop window for lots of different talent. Probably also trying to see who works with who gets the most audience engagement, perhaps through social media, all that kind of stuff. I know they've been asking for who else would you like to see and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a big roster. There will probably be some kind of trimming of the roster if it were to come back as a regular concern. Whether we got to a second series. Do you like the series format? It depends what you do with it. All depends what you do with it. Obviously, continuing storylines are. Speaking as someone who has promoted, shows with big gaps between them, trying to maintain people's interest.
Got to leave with wanting more of you.
Which is very difficult to do, kind of in real time.
Or give someone a reason to come back.
Series finale of Downton Abbey. You can't wait for the next autumn for it to come back.
Game of Thrones.
But they exist in their own time frame. That's tells you all you need to know about me and Kieran. He went Game of Thrones, I went Downton Abbey. The Starks have got nothing on the Dowager Countess. But in terms of a real time format, if they're going to leave it, especially for diehards, that's probably what will annoy them even more. If there's a cliffhanger at the end of episode 10, when the lads involved in it are probably going to see each other at 4 shows the following week, it doesn't really allow for suspension of disbelief. But that you can do something really good with a 10 series format if there's a natural culmination to it. I don't think they go in tournament style or anything like that, or what have you. But,
because Lucha Underground run the series.
They do, but they're very much presented as a show, almost like a fantasy show. With
very true.
With wrestling as the medium.
Very true.
From what I understand, and I can't say.
I can't say I've ever watched a full episode, but
no.
I understand that is what it's
from what I gather of that, they kind of do. Wrestling is just a medium for for the conflict on the you know it's almost a kayfabe production in that sense, like a deeper level of kayfabe.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't, you know,
it's
probably closer to Glow than it is to which I actually caught 4 episodes of for the first time.
Glow
the other week.
It's weird, you know. Well, this is the thing. I watched the first 2 episodes because I was so excited about it coming out, because I heard it was going to be amazing. I watched the first 2 episodes, found it quite naff, and thought not gonna deal with this. Literally everyone I've spoken to since has said how amazing it is, and it just takes a couple of episodes to get into.
Yeah, it does.
But that's because
it's really good.
For that reason, though. But it's not a wrestling show. Do you know what I mean? We've gone into it kind of going, oh yeah, wrestling TV show about wrestling, like it's not.
No, it's not.
So there's just wrestling in it. Do you know what I mean? It's like when Mr. Ass turned up on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Do you know what I mean? It's not a wrestling show, or the
when
the
Vader
WCW
turns up at what show was it?
Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Frankie the Enforcer's dad. He was in 2 episodes. So Jake the Snake was in 1. That's a great topic for another fucking wrestling cameos.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
I think we do that now. Let's abandon this format and let's just do that. Oh, we might do it in the next one.
We'll do it.
I have got so many going through my head now.
Let's do that for the next one. Yeah,
I think we should record that straight after this.
Be lucky.
Yeah, and you'll probably hear it sometime.
Sometime in the
2023. How have we got onto this? Glow.
Glow.
It's probably closer to something like Glow Lucha Underground is than it is to a weekly episodic wrestling program.
Yeah. So, like, is there anyone in the WOS roster that stands out to you, or is it not actually stands out as in like because there are names such as Will Ospreay, such as David Boy Smith Jr. and like big names that stand out? But
I tell you what did shock me. And it's not that he's on the roster, it's just the way it's been put forward, is that there was a lot of criticism in Grado being the centrepiece of the pilot episode that was Christmas last year.
The year before?
The Christmas before.
A long time.
And I always knew that he would be involved because, you know, he has got that kind of draw to him and he has a really good character. I'm a personal fan of him. But what I was shocked about is when you consider that they've got the likes of Will Ospreay and stuff like that. Grado is still the centrepiece of every advert. The main advert the main advert. Grado takes up a third of the page, and then everyone else was dotted around him. Yeah.
But
that does shock me.
Yeah, but what you've got to understand is that Grado is the biggest, is to casuals, the biggest star of the. It was essentially the standout of the BBC ICW documentary. He is now on Scottish television every week. You know, he's a very prominent celebrity in that regard. Yeah. Certainly north of the border. But editorial, where they go with him, and obviously he was the champ at the end of the pilot for, you know, which if wrestling people had been booking it probably wouldn't have happened. But for the simple reason that he doesn't need it. He doesn't need the belt. Do you know what I mean? He is his own unique entity.
Having hindsight is a wonderful thing because it's a good job that they did put it on him at the end of the show because Dave Mastiff went off and joined WWE. So if they'd kept it on him, they'd have been like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
The other guy had left.
Yeah, but he's
was that
whether that would have been the case if he had won, it would have been a different matter.
True.
He's certainly the biggest standalone recognisable face on the roster, so it makes sense in that regard for him to be.
All I can do with that.
Is there anyone that they've put on there that you guys picked out and thought that's an interesting one in a good way? Was like, oh, that's surprising. I'm glad he's on there.
Oh well, you know, I've on one of these previous 2 podcasts that no one will ever hear. And I will say it again now. Rampage Brown is the greatest British wrestler of his generation, and
I hope that he gets
what role
the
they're
recognition.
utilising him.
Oh God, yeah.
Is a different matter, and by all accounts, from what you hear on the El Grapplevine, he, as good as he is the rest of the time, he has put a shift in on this series. For reasons we
will find out in due course.
We won't go into. But he has put the shift of a lifetime in.
Fair play.
To this pilot, to make it a success, not just for himself, which
but for other people, yeah.
Well, for the product, Rampage Brown has done what he consistently always does, without fail, which is do what is asked of him to the very best of his abilities and work for the show, not for himself, which unfortunately I can't say I've heard that's been the case with everyone, but
fair enough.
There you go. Obviously, Juice
yes.
is incredible. There'll be there's some names on there that I don't know what the format's going to be. I don't know what is taking place. I don't know what backstage stuff they're going to do. I think it's a great boon that they've got Stu Bennett in charge, because he is a phenomenal mic man and knows what he's doing, speaks the lingo. Thank Christ they've got him on the commentary desk as well. Yeah, because the
less said about that, the better.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, is after the WWE UK Championship tournament at the Royal Albert Hall, did either of you catch any of it?
I caught the first night, not the second night.
Okay.
I hadn't seen none of it.
I saw both nights. A man who I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him, a guy called Zach Gibson. He I was being very coy. Zach Gibson won it, went right the way through, had a really good match with Jack Gallagher to begin as well, which was quite nice.
Very good friends.
That was probably one of the best matches of the night. Yeah. But there was so many people who stood out throughout the entire thing, and then went on to have a really good match with Pete Dunne in the final.
Of course.
I'll tell you, I was massively impressed with, and I've seen bits of him, but I was quite, I mean this in the nicest way, I was quite shocked that he was called up, but then once I watched the show, realised just how good he was Flash Morgan Webster.
Oh, that guy's really good.
He really, really impressed me, and that's not a knock on him. I just hadn't seen enough of him to warrant thinking that he was worthy of being there, but he completely proved me wrong.
Really nice fellow.
He had a couple of really good matches.
He's lovely.
He's
also a very good podcast host.
He suffered, a very severe injury and qualification for the first tournament.
Yeah.
Which, not to say that result would have changed.
Oh no, it was for the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was against Jack.
Oh, Gallagher.
No, it was in Sabre Junior actually.
No, I'm sure it was Gallagher. He wrestled someone.
It was either
Progress.
one of the two.
I'm sure it was Gallagher.
Might have been actually.
But anyway, it could be one of the other. Yeah. But I know he did hurt himself, and it's nice that he got the chance to kind of make good on that.
And he is wrong with it.
A hell of a talent. A really nice fella.
And then after on the first night we got announced to the new WWE NXT UK General Manager, which is the legendary Johnny Saint.
And no one deserves it more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What a gentleman, what an absolute legend of the UK scene, and it's nice that they're acknowledging that as well.
Yeah. I saw him. When did I see John? Was it the week before or the week after?
Anyway, you saw him.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw him at the Oldham Wrestlers Reunion, Northwest Wrestlers Reunion. And yeah, he's just, he was obviously very happy, but very humble in it as well, and very understated in it, and just happy to be there, to be able to do, to be able to be involved and to help make it a success.
I'm sure he will do.
So he's looking forward to getting his teeth into it
and getting started. Well, they start filming for NXT UK in a couple of weeks' time in Cambridge, I believe. Yeah. They're also doing tapings in, I think it's Plymouth, somewhere else, and also Liverpool, which I thought was quite nice.
Can I chip in with the Liverpool one?
Yes,
it really made me laugh.
Go on.
I was quite shocked, not that Liverpool got it, but I was quite shocked that the Liverpool Olympia got it. Purely because I've been to events at the Olympia in the last couple of years, and to say it's a little bit of a run-down building would be a fair assumption. So I was quite shocked to find that a brand as big as WWE would go there. And what really made me laugh was I thought to myself, it's interesting, A, that they've chose the Olympia, and B, that they've chose the last set of tapings to be at the Olympia.
At Liverpool.
That suggests that they've tried to give them as much time as possible.
Oh, okay.
The following day I was dropping my girlfriend off at work, and I have to drive past the Olympia, and I went there, and people were literally outside cleaning the front of the Olympia and painting it, and all I could get in my head was that the Olympia had kind of sold this money pit idea to WWE that they were like the number one venue or whatever, and they were like, we're fully booked until November, so you can't book until November. And then just this idea of WWE offering them a check and them just going, right, we need to clean this place.
Painters, get the brass workers in, get
everything.
The electricians.
Because it is a really nice venue. It's just a really old venue, and it's
and it's not well maintained.
Part of it are not maintained. Yeah. I think it was because for a long period of time it wasn't in use, and then it got used for the occasional cage fighting event, and that was it.
I don't know if it's under new management at present.
Maybe it is.
Previously owned by the Zorba family, I think that, but I believe that there's a new, at least a specific company now.
I mean,
in charge of it. But I know what you mean. That
it's a cracking venue, and I'm sure that no matter what, it will be a great atmosphere, and it'll be really well run. It just made me laugh that it was the last one, because I was thinking, why have they chose Liverpool to be the last taping? And then I see how run down the building was. Went past and they were literally giving it a lick of paint, and someone was wiping the doors down. And I was like, nice.
Yeah, I'd love to be copied in on that phone call where Triple H strings some fella.
Exactly.
Hey, this is Paul Levesque, WWE. All right, Paul. Yeah, welcome to the mate. Wrestling. Yeah, no problem. Done that loads. Yeah. When do you want it? Right, okay. What you paying what? Right, okay.
It's £1,000 deposit.
Right, okay, yeah, because grand up front, no problem, yeah. All right, just give me a second there. Eddie, get the paint.
Quick, get down to B&Q. Hurry up.
Some fucking mad yank on the phone here, offering us fucking thousands. Yeah, all right, sorry about that, Paul. Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, no problem, yeah. You just give us a shout, yeah. All right, yeah, all right. Love to the Mrs. Trap. I think it would have gone something.
That was good. Brilliant. So that's NXT UK and WOS Wrestling. Should be interesting to see how both of them unfold. When do you know, in World Sport it's 2 weeks away or something like that?
It's the 28th.
It's
Saturday the 28th.
Saturday the 28th.
28th. It's the day before my birthday. Not that anyone listening to this podcast will be interested in my birthday.
No, well, you'll look on by the time it gets posted.
Yeah.
I'll behave.
Beat me 30.
In fact, what did you say? A week on Friday. So this will be the day before. It's on tomorrow, lads.
It's on tomorrow night. It is on tomorrow night.
Yeah. So I'll just be back from Lourdes.
There you go. There's one other thing. Do you want to cover that? I mean, it's not necessarily anything. Let's cover it. So the only other thing that we've got on the docket to talk about is Brock Lesnar showing up at UFC.
And the ramifications of that.
And pretty much. I mean, there was something that was raised on a few marks again, that the entire thing about Lesnar's contract in WWE has been a big work.
Yeah.
How often is it that WWE tell you they've signed someone for this amount of money. This is how much we're giving him. Like, you know, and this is how long it's for. You know, like how often do we publicly release that stuff? It sometimes gets out, but it gets out through, you know, the dirt sheets and Dave Meltzer reporting on it and Peter Ryan inside.
I think there's a lot of. I think it is a massive work, and I think there's a lot of a lot of legs to the idea as well. I think there's a lot that it builds. I think Roman Reigns is struggling to get people on side, and WWE continue to shove them down people's throats. Yeah. And I do feel as though they're using Lesnar as a catalyst.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And it'd be like the like, and you can kind of see now where we stand at the moment recording this. There is another match between Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley to take place next week on Raw.
See, even Lashley, I think there's potential legs in that he comes from a
MMA background.
An MMA background, and they may even be able to spin the idea of, if they go with Lashley winning the title and saying, I do MMA, but I'm still here, I can still do this. Which I should point out as a side note, anyone that watched Extreme Rules, his match with Roman Reigns, I don't know whether it was planned or not, see it. But a couple of comments had been made on Raw by Roman Reigns about whether Lashley was legit or not, or whether he could do it for real. The first 5 minutes of that match is definitely Roman Reigns getting tossed about and
getting Lesnar.
Yeah, getting Lesnar by and Bobby Lashley just showing, because there's a point where I think Roman Reigns is expecting to be lifted to his feet, but instead he's literally lifted 3 foot in the air and lands on his feet and then thrown across the ring. Which but yeah, sorry.
It's just going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. And obviously, Heyman showed up, and like we all thought last night, you know, are they actually going to strip him? Is he actually going to show up?
Did he turn up, or was it just Heyman?
It was just Heyman. Heyman showed up, this is why they added either Lesnar shows up, or he accepts a title match whenever, or he gets stripped of it. So I thought once they added that thing, as like, oh well, Heyman's showing up, isn't he? That's obvious. So, and Heyman did, and he said, yeah, you have a number 1 contenders match. Brock will face whoever you put on whoever you put in front of him.
How mad would it be if Lesnar won the UFC heavyweight title?
And Braun Strowman came out and cashed in. So that is exactly what this is how much of a work I think it is.
No, don't rope me into this. I would say, imagine if Lesnar won the UFC title. This will not happen.
No.
Just imagine if Lashley was the Universal Champion thereafter at some point, and then
they had a unification.
Not unification, but they had WWE just went. Lesnar had a cage fight with Lashley, and WWE just went, whoever wins that is
our champion.
Yeah, as well, yeah. Like, how fucking mad
is that? Is that a catalyst for Lashley to get signed to UFC?
No, but I think. Well, no, but I mean, he's a little. Okay, so I think UFC wanting to get Lesnar back in the fold, despite the drugs offence last time. I think it's probably because Conor McGregor has still fucking got legal problems, and they need it. The WWE have got Ronda. Conor McGregor is essentially a felon at present, and Lesnar's available and has something to prove.
Big money.
And they need that kind of box office at the minute.
I think in the heavyweight division as well. I think they were, to go off topic of wrestling, more into UFC. Is it Francis Ngannou or whatever? Right. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Okay. Was a guy who'd won like several fights and he was knocking everyone out, and it was like, this is the guy. And it was almost as if, because there was no other heavyweights, they were like, this is the guy. Yeah. And they put him in against Miocic, and he just got battled. Yeah. And I think that was his last fight before he ends up fighting Cormier. Yeah. And I think it was a case of, right, he was meant to take the mantle, he hasn't. Yeah. What do we do? Okay, Cormier, come up.
Yeah. From as well, I think it's very interesting.
And in that time, they've signed Lesnar.
On the McGregor point, the fact that now Cormier is also a 2-weight world champion.
Yes.
no, I think they are trying to move interest away from. Not interest, but move eyes away from McGregor while he's going through the legal trouble.
Yeah,
and then
smart. McGregor. So yeah, I get what you mean. Like with McGregor going through all of his legal things right now, it's probably a smart idea to not have him in the limelight.
Yeah, and Lesnar is
enough of a draw.
Enough of a draw, and it's a very interesting contest.
He's more of a draw for UFC now than he is for WWE. Would you say? Because he's not been in UFC for a while, and because of the whole drug thing.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, he's a talking point, and he's in intrigue. How will he go on? Some people will be asking, well, how's he going to go on if he fights clean? Which all he was found. I don't know how all that kind of paper works, but I know that all he was kind of busted for was estrogen suppressants. I know that a lot of men I know once that kind of male menopause period after sort of 36 that some males do take estrogen suppressants as like ad hoc male hormone replacement therapy.
I could be wrong with this, but my understanding at the time was when UFC wanted Lesnar, they offered him the contract and he said, as long as I don't have to take a drugs test, I'm happy to do it. And it was obviously because there would have been something that would flag, which meant that he couldn't fight. So UFC agreed to that. He took the fight, he done the fight, and then after that, the way they do random drug testing, it was another company or some other.
Everyone falls under USADA for the US anti-doping agency.
They then tested him and he flagged on something. So I'm kind of on the fence with Lesnar, but in that situation, I was kind of sympathetic to him because he said from the off, "I'll do the fight, but I can't guarantee I'll pass a drug test." And then
maybe
he said that's fine, and then drug tested him and said you failed your drug test, and he's got loads of heat from it.
That sounds like an old wives' tale because there's no way that he wouldn't have been in the USADA testing pool. Especially for it to be a ranked fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't an exhibition. I don't know. We have got an earwigger with us at present. Do you, for those of you that don't know, Jack Hendricks from Infinite Promotions of Lewis, is his real name, is with us at present, and he's some mixed martial arts experience. I've just given the big up now. He probably won't be able to answer my question. Do you know how the USADA thing works? If you sign to the UFC and you fight in the UFC, you're going to be subject to drugs testing.
Yeah. So essentially, USADA. Obviously, I'm not American, so I don't really know the full ins and outs. It's the equivalent as like over here, the Premier League will obviously have like drug testing.
UK anti-doping.
Yeah, UK anti-doping, all basically under the same guidelines and all that good stuff. I think what happened with Lesnar originally was when he was in WWE, obviously he would have took stuff that USADA wouldn't allow, and he said at the start, obviously again it's just what's the word for it?
Hearsay,
yeah. So he took that before us when he come in. He said, listen, since I've been with this, there might be some supplements or whatever in his system that could flag up under USADA. So he went, okay, before that we're not going to do the drug testing until it's out of your system. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think what he failed for was the post-fight drugs test, which is taken after his fight, and I think that's why it flagged up. Okay. Then I think that's
but it was estrogen suppressants he was busted for, which some people take as from what I understand, post steroid course. But I think some do take estrogen suppressants just in general after they've turned like 36, 37.
Fair enough.
I think Lesnar's, he is a draw. It's going to be a very interesting fight because obviously people talk about Cormier's punching power, but people used to talk about Mark Hunt's punching power as well, and Lesnar, got through him.
Yeah, he got through him.
And obviously Cormier is a dual weight world champion, so he is a light. His main fighting weight is light heavyweight, so Lesnar's going to be a lot bigger than him, a lot taller than him, which we've seen. His ground game, I don't know all that much about Daniel Cormier, but I know obviously Lesnar is You've got that NCAA Division 1 wrestling background.
My understanding is Cormier's got quite a good wrestling.
Cormier was either a bronze medalist or he come 4th place in the 2002 Greek Olympic Games.
I think it was bronze.
I think it was bronze.
2004.
Yeah, and on top of that, the person who took Brock Lesnar's UFC heavyweight championship from the first time, Cain Velasquez, who had very, very good wrestling as well, fights out of AKA in San Jose, California. Daniel Cormier is the wrestling coach for American Kickboxing Academy.
Okay then.
So yeah.
So we can say he's good.
So you can say he's very, very, very good.
Well, I'm looking even more forward to this fight now.
It's going to be good fun to look forward to. We're going to start wrapping up. Until then, Kiefer,
I had this idea, and it might be shit. And we might never do it again. But it's just basically...
He's not going to fucking upload this podcast.
It's quick fire questions. So I've done 2 sets of 10 questions, and it's just really quick fire. Just got to answer the first thing that pops into your head.
Okay.
I'll go with you first, Kieran. And then
is that
Wait. Yeah, go on.
We'll go with Kieran McConnell second. Okay. So, and quick fire first thing that pops into your head.
I'm really scared.
Or whatever. They're all wrestling themed, it's fine.
Okay. Go on.
Rumble or Mania?
Mania.
WCW or WWF?
WWF.
Roman Reigns or John Cena?
John Cena.
NXT or 205?
NXT.
DX or NWO?
DX.
Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels?
Shawn Michaels.
TNA or Ring of Honor?
TNA.
Attitude or Ruthless Aggression?
Ruthless Aggression.
Hogan or Warrior?
Hogan.
Austin or Rock?
Rock.
Okay. Interesting.
Controversial answers, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I chose Ruthless Aggression because that was the era that I grew up with. Okay. So that's my only justification.
This is solely just for you guys at home listening.
Yeah,
intently.
You can make up what you think.
Seeing what you think of us. Okay, there's a little bit more strenuous this one for Kieran McConnell.
Oh,
okay.
Different set.
Yeah, different. set.
Okay.
It's a different set of questions.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Okay, Broken Matt or Immortal Jeff?
Christ, country file. Broken Matt.
Okay, Commissioner Regal or Commissioner Foley?
Commissioner Regal.
SummerSlam or Survivor Series?
SummerSlam.
Lesnar or Goldberg?
Lesnar.
Shockmaster or Titus World Slide?
Titus World Slide.
Woo or woo woo woo?
Woo.
NXT or NXT UK?
The NXT UK.
New Japan or New Day?
New Day.
Andre the Giant or The Big Show?
Andre the Giant.
And finally, the greatest of all time?
The Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Fantastic.
So they were quite good. We'll do some more of them. You think?
Yeah, I was just thinking something to finish it off, and
that was all good.
If we have any guests on our infamous podcast, we'll do a quick fire round with them.
There we go. Well, thank you very much for listening, folks, and we will see you whenever the next time we do one of these is. And
we won't see you, and you won't see us because it's a podcast.
Oh my god! But, we will be with you then.
We'll be with you sometime in 2023.
Anyway, thanks for listening, folks. We'll catch you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.